Hello and welcome to episode 49 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Susie. I am your host and I am an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. Today I am going to be answering a listener's request. For those of you who don't know, there is a podcast page over on my website. I will put the link to that in the show notes. And on that page, you are able to submit a question or just a topic that you'd like me to cover in more depth in the podcast. And that's what we're going to be doing today. This week's episode is going to be all about the occult meaning of the days of the week. And before I get into the individual days of the week, I want to just deal with the word occult first. A lot of the time when people hear the word occult, it conjures up images of not very nice things going on. People in dark robes, in dark rooms, potentially doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And this is because of the way that the word occult has become associated with negative things through our programming and conditioning. So if you hear the word occult and you have this little bit of triggering going on, I would definitely recommend that you look at that to identify the program and conditioning that you are running around the word occult. Occult just means hidden or secret. It comes from Latin and it was used throughout time to describe the hidden or unseen properties. So there's nothing directly negative about it. It's just a word that was used to describe this unseen. And it was a word that really was used a lot from the 16th century onwards. It was used to describe any tradition or practice that went outside of the religious norms of that time. So a lot of indigenous practices, a lot of pagan practices, practices that were just not in alignment with the prevailing religious thought at the time, got pushed into this basket of occult. Essentially anything that wasn't mainstream beliefs. We saw the use of the word occult a lot used for things like the study of alchemy, the study of astrology. More often in today's terminology, you will hear people referring to esotericism. You will hear people like myself talking a lot about the esoteric because technically it's a more appropriate term. But we do need to recognize and understand, especially those of you who have a bit of witch wounding out there, who've perhaps lived through these times where there's negative connotations with the word occult, that we need to look at that to be able to fully understand and embrace the teachings from these times that were labeled as occult. Now that we've got that out of the way, I really want today's episode just to be a fun little look at the traditional occult, so hidden, meaning around the days of the week, and for you to start feeling into these different aspects in your own week. If this doesn't resonate with you at all, that's completely fine, leave it to one side. But what I have found in my one-on-one work, especially when I'm working with people on helping them expand their spiritual businesses, they often find conversations like this around cycles, around different energies being present at different times, really helpful to plan their own week and to understand what's going to work best for them in their businesses. Of course, if you're working a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that's completely okay. You can still feel into this for your own personal practice and your own spiritual development. Traditionally, each of the days of the week is associated with a particular structure from the cosmos. And the reason I say that specifically is because when you get deeper into your spiritual studies, your spiritual knowledge, you're going to come across cosmology in traditional mystery schools, which lots of you will have been part of. And I will do some episodes on mystery schools and what mystery schools were all about. Cosmology was the very first foundational teaching that you would get. And a lot of the time in the spiritual conversations that are happening online, there's a lack of cosmology. And what that does is it gives us a distortion in respect of the evolution of ourselves as souls and the evolution of Earth. Remember, as a human, your soul is connected to Earth. So to understand your own evolutionary path is to understand Earth's evolutionary path. And you do this through cosmology. Different traditions have different cosmologies, but they do all tend to boil down to the same thing. If this type of stuff is something that you are interested in, I have done a section, an introduction to cosmology in my Astral Realm series, which is over in my membership that you can go and watch. This month in the membership, we're going to be talking specifically about the heart chakra, that midpoint in our energy field at this time of our evolution. So if you want to sign up for that, I'll put the link into the show notes. Because each day of the week was associated with a different structure in the cosmos, it has a different flavor and a different feel to it. And if you understand this and then start to observe yourself and reflect on these individual days of the week, it's going to really help you connect to the bigger picture, the cosmos, the cosmology. Lots of you who listen will have read my most recent blog post or received my newsletter with the link to the most recent blog post, which is all about the energies of 2025. And you will remember that we talk in that about an expansion in cosmic consciousness. This is definitely connected to that. Again, I will put a link to that blog post if you haven't yet read it in the show notes, because some of the topics that I cover in there, I'm going to go into a deeper look at on the podcast. Let's start the week with Monday. So, Monday is associated with the moon. And because of its association with the moon, it is a very introspective day, very connected to the internal navigation system. So, your intuition, your psychic abilities, and your emotions. Most often, those emotions that we are repressing or denying. Of course, for most people, Monday is the start of the week. And as you will see, it's kind of counter to the energies of what Monday actually has to offer, what the moon day has to offer. So if you are somebody who has your own business and you find that you're not really wanting to put yourself out there or do lots of one-on-one sessions with clients and stuff on a Monday, don't worry, that's completely normal. There are other days of the week that are more suited to that. Where Monday can be used very constructively is really taking a look at intuitively, what do I want to create this week? How do I want to allow the divine to work through me this week? For some of you, that might be pulling some oracle cards. For others, it might be taking some time to really connect to the intuition and working on the development of those clair senses that we talk about. For me personally, I spend a lot of time on a Monday with my Akashic records open. So I will connect into my Akashic business guides, have a chat with them about what I want to bring through for the week and how I want to navigate through the week in cooperation and co-creation with them. And I will also spend it in my personal Akashic records to see if there's anything that is coming up for me at this time. My job as an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner, and for those of you who are practitioners or teachers out there, your job also is to ensure that you are the clearest channel possible for the Akashic Records. As I've covered in other episodes, the Akashic Records are a form of channeling. So it can be really helpful, especially on a Monday, just to take some time with your Akashic Records open and just see if there is anything that is coming up for you to address in your own time, in your own practice, to ensure and to allow you to be that clearest channel that you can be. The action energy that you're looking for comes in on a Tuesday, and this is because Tuesday is traditionally associated with Mars, the planet of action. So you'll often find on a Tuesday that you have a lot more of that get up and go, you have a lot more physical energy, and that desire to be of service and to get things produced. You will see a lot of people in the spiritual community consciously or unconsciously not doing one-on-one sessions on a Monday and starting them on a Tuesday, because this is when they feel that drive to start taking those steps forward. Wednesday is a day that is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury, as lots of you will know, is the planet of communication. Because it's the planet of communication, Wednesdays can be a great day for really putting yourself out there. So maybe batch creating your content, maybe writing a blog post, maybe recording a podcast episode. Really work strongly with the throat chakra and your ability to express yourself. You tend to have a lot more confidence, a lot more feeling of, I have this knowledge and I want to embody it. So I want to turn the knowledge into wisdom and I want to share that to be of service to others on a Wednesday. Thursday is traditionally associated with Jupiter. This is a really positive, expansive energy. So this is a day to focus on, okay, what do I want to expand into? Where am I going? What wants to be brought forward through me to aid and assist my expansion? Thursday has this energy of just growth behind it. So you can take some time, maybe reflect back on the week into what felt very aligned to you and to your values in that week, and what maybe didn't feel so aligned, and move into co-creation, into more of that growth and expansion energy. Of course, here you can also set your intentions for the upcoming week, the upcoming month, the upcoming year, but really tuning into that. How am I expanding into full alignment with my soul? You can also pay attention to any areas of resistance that come up in respect of this expansion. So you'll feel this expansion energy, and then resistance will show up as fears, as you putting the brakes on, as, okay, this bit's a bit scary. So pay attention to that resistance that is coming up, because it can help you move forward with that knowledge as to where you're potentially blocked and where you're blocking your own expansion. Friday has a beautiful energy from Venus, which is all about love and creativity. I know most people look forward to Friday because it's the day before the weekend, but actually, from an energetic perspective, it's a beautiful day to really tune into this creative energy that we have within us, our creative power, which is our connection to source. So don't be surprised if you find yourself feeling into, how can I be more creative? Maybe wanting to do some creative activities. For those of you who are in a female body, Fridays are also very connected to female mysteries. This has to do with the association with the influence of Venus on the female mystery schools that were here on Earth. It's also a day to think about money, because, of course, money is connected to our creative energy. If we feel blockages in our creative energy, we're going to feel blockages in respect to the flow of money. This is a really good day to connect to, tap into, tune into our internal creative energy in whichever way suits us best. For a lot of business owners out there who are aligned to their own internal rhythms and the rhythms of the cosmos, I know that Friday is a day where lots of you will be planning, okay, what are you bringing forward into the next week? What goals are you working towards? How can you co-create with the universe to connect to those goals? What do you need to birth through you? And this is a really good use of this energy on this day if you are an aligned business owner. To contrast, Saturday, which is connected to Saturn, is a much more masculine energy dominant day, because it's much more about structure, organization, responsibility. You may find that on a Saturday, your day is focused on deep cleaning the house, on getting rid of old clutter, of making sure that you have everything set up for the week ahead. That's a very normal energy for this day. Then we end our week with Sunday, which of course is the day of the sun, our solar energy. The solar force is very connected to our evolutionary force. If you haven't listened to already the episode that I did on light codes, I definitely recommend listening to that, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But Sunday is the day of self-reflection, self-development, empowering yourself, setting yourself up for success. So it can be a beautiful energy to really get clear on everything that has taken place in the previous 7 days and making sure that you are aligned to that highest timeline. If you are a business owner, this can be a great day to do that course that you've always been wanting to do, read that book that's been sat on your bookshelf for the past 6 months that's going to help you really step into a more empowered version of yourself. I hope that you see from this breakdown that there's nothing scary about the occult meaning of the days of the week. It's very normal when you look at different paths, different religions, different traditions, that different practices would be assigned to different days. They would be connected to different deities. And in pagan traditions, you would see that different rituals and different magic practices would be done on different days based on the energies of those different days that we've just talked about. Something I should also note, especially for the female listeners out there, is remember that you also have a monthly cycle, you also have an annual cycle, because we are part of Earth, we are part of nature. So you will have seen lots of things around about the recent New Year celebrations that we've had with people saying, look, New Year doesn't actually happen until the spring equinox, because traditionally, before the 1700s, that was the case. Everybody saw spring as the time of birth and renewal. So setting intentions and resolutions in January just doesn't make sense. We go with the cycles of the earth because we are part of earth. Similarly for women, because of the way that energetic makeup of women, of female bodies is, and it's connected to the female mysteries also, female bodies have this cycle. Whether you are still menstruating or not is irrelevant. There is still this energetic cycle that females have, and that's connected to having a spring, a summer, an autumn, and a winter. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, but this week I just don't feel like doing anything, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, I just don't feel like doing anything, I'm very introverted, I'm very introspective this week, then that's your winter week. So bear in mind that you're going to have these different cycles influencing you. You're going to have that monthly cycle of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and also the energies of the days of the week. It can take a little bit of navigating to really find energetically what works best for you, but I can promise you, from having done this work myself and with lots of other people, if you can really understand yourself from an energetic cycle perspective and you can understand what works for you on each of these days of the week, it can really help you achieve the most whilst expending the least amount of energy. By learning how to work with your own energy and the energy of the bigger cosmos and Earth herself, you're going to find it much easier to find that flow that you hear everybody talking about. When you're trying to go against the energies of everything else that is going on, this is where you start to feel stress. This is where you start to feel resistance. This is where you can potentially end up burnt out. I do hope that you have found this episode helpful and hopefully a little bit fun, getting you to think about, okay, it's okay if I feel different on different days, what's at play. I hope you have a play around with this in your own life throughout the week. And of course, I shall see you next week for the next episode.